There are some cars that make you wish for a world without stop signs and for roads without end. Cars that aren't so concerned with practicality, much less predictability. They are the rock stars of the car world. Sexy, flashy, larger than life, and bolder than brass.
Cars that are like this one right here. Hi, I'm Tommy Kendall, and welcome to Test Drive. Today we're at Road Atlanta with a car that quite possibly has more swagger than Jagger. I'm talking about the 2013 SRT Viper. As you can see, it still has that audacious Viper body style. But what you can't see is that underneath there is more raw power and jaw-dropping performance than ever before. A few details to whet your appetite. An 8.4-liter, 640 horsepower V10 with 600 pound-feet of torque. Lucky for us, we also have a bunch of special guests to help us put the bite on this new SRT Viper, including IndyCar legend Michael Andretti and Wired Magazine's Josh Davis. So buckle up, we've got quite a show for you, and it's all coming up. Now, if you've got your hands on a car that is super light and super fast, it kind of behooves you to find out how super bad it is, which means putting it on a racetrack, which is why we're here at Road Atlanta. Our next guest knows something about charging, one of the all-time hard chargers in IndyCar racing, a legend, as a matter of fact, now a winning team owner, championship winning team owner, and race promoter. Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
It's taken us a while to get you here.
I know, but I'm psyched I'm here.
We're honored. How long's it been since you were at Road Atlanta?
Jesus, I don't know what to say, but it's like 1982 runoffs.
30 years.
Formula Ford, yeah.
The beginning.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
It's changed a little bit.
A little bit. I'm anxious to get back on it.
Life is good. I mean, you just won 4th title in 10 years in business.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we have a great team. You know, it was just a crazy year for sure, and you know, the whole team did a great job and went down right to the end. It was a bit of a nail biter there in the end, and Ryan came through for us, so it was awesome.
Now, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who's my teammate in the Vipers, has been like, he seems like he's been a catalyst to your organization.
He's totally come to his own. You know, he's at that perfect age. You know, he's right around 30, 31, and you know, he's got a lot of experience under him, and he still's got that charge in him, and he's at the perfect age, and it's all coming together for him.
When you were driving, did you ever think you would be a team owner and a race promoter?
Hell no. Jeez, yeah, no, but I gotta say, it's been fun.
Now, switching gears to the Viper, have you driven any of the prior generations?
I have, you know, I've driven actually on a road course too in Laguna Seca. I drove it's probably back in about, you know, end of the 90s sometime.
Okay.
So
I mean, what were your impressions of that car? That's obviously going back a ways.
yeah, it was a while ago. It was it felt a little heavy and a little clumsy. So I'm hearing that they've really improved that side of it. So I can't wait to get it.
Well, here it is, folks. 60 Minutes couldn't do it, but the mega behemoth Test Drive gets Michael Andretti back behind the wheel. We're looking forward to it. We've selected red for you.
I like it.
Let's try them on.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Up next, we've got racing legend Michael Andretti at Road Atlanta.
Oh no, I'm like all the guys you raced. I'm fearing the guy in my mirror. Here it comes, here it comes.
Don't go away. Welcome back to Test Drive. We're at Road Atlanta with racing icon Michael Andretti and the 2013 SRT Viper.
I'm really impressed with how this car goes in the slow corners.
Yeah,
Really is quite good.
just overall grip.
Yep, overall grip and balance.
Now, they worked pretty hard on the steering. Do you feel like it has adequate feedback?
And I think that does work. The only thing is in the fast corners, it's a tad quick for my liking. You have to be really careful.
Slow
when
your
you're
hands
turning.
down. Yeah,
Yep.
I tend to agree. Now, 0 to 60, we haven't even talked about that. 0 to 60 in this car is, I mean, they say mid to low 3s. It's 3.4 is the number I've heard from some of the people testing, which is getting with the program.
This thing definitely gets with the program. It's got good power.
I mean, once it gets over
Great
that,
torque, too.
with these kind of power numbers, I mean, put that into perspective. 640 horsepower, 600, foot-pounds of torque. How much horsepower did the last generation normally aspirated IndyCar have?
Right about the same. I think it was around 650 horsepower.
Probably not 600 foot-pounds of torque, though, huh?
Exactly. You can feel the torque right there. I missed my gear, and it was no big deal.
We're going 120, and the thing is still pulling like nobody's business. I mean, it gets to 140 like that. And then started all going the other way. Well, now this whole corner wasn't here before, but it's a real test of the brakes.
Big time.
And the track package has big brakes, huge brakes, and it's got those compound, the billet aluminum hats.
I mean, you're not even worried about the brakes, which is amazing. When you're, driving as hard as we're driving right now, there's still the pedals staying with you. Just pretty impressive, I think.
Now, you've seen the car from both angles, me in the mirror looking back, and then also from behind. What do you think of the styling?
Beautiful car. I think they did a great job. They still kept the original design, but they just, again, refined it, and I think they did a really good job.
Made it modern.
Made it modern, exactly.
Those rear tires are just huge. Another thing they did, weight has been a key focus on this car. The whole car, the overall package with the track package is over 150 pounds lighter. Got 57 pounds off with the forged wheels and the brakes. And believe it or not, the Pirelli Corsa tires that come on the track pack are actually lighter, the little thinner carcass and so forth. And then things like carbon fiber in the roof, carbon hood, carbon deck lid. It's got a magnesium dash panel behind it to add stiffness across the car.
It's all about refinement, really. There's no more silver bullet. It's all just making the best of every little aspect of the car.
I'm getting excited. I want one of these things.
Me too.
See if I can't get the back out a little bit here.
I'm really impressed with how this car goes.
You're number 3 all-time in both, laps led and wins. If it wasn't for another guy named Andretti, you'd be number 2. You got to be pretty proud of that.
I always wanted them to worry when they saw me in the mirror.
Well, I'll tell you what, you were like an attack dog that was let off the chain. I mean, literally, you had one speed, and it was always going forward. Oh no, I'm like all the guys you raced. I'm fearing the guy in my mirror. Here it comes.
Here it comes. The other thing I like about it is the seats feel really good.
This is one of the few cars that's got a fully adjustable seat, which you would expect. The steering wheel tilts, but it also has sliding pedals. So I mean, literally, the range of positions is unmatched.
Yes, and that's important because there's so many different body types, so it's nice that you can actually move the pedals.
Believe it or not, our race car actually has the sliding pedals as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, they said, well, hey, the production car has it, so we're going to take advantage of that. Both of these are GTSs, which is the higher trim level. Basically, the SRT has two additional modes. The base model has either full-on stability control and full-off, whereas this one has a couple different ones. If you push the button, and it's cool, it's one of the, it might be the only car, it's one of the few for sure that has the stability control button on the steering wheel, which seems logical. It's where it should be instead of having to hunt around for it. But you can just put it on a reduced level, and then you can go another further, which turns traction off completely. And then you can, if you're really brave, you can switch everything off, full off, which with this kind of power, I'll tell you what, I'm not feeling like it's cutting down on my fun and leaving it on the reduced level.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We've been doing the show for a long time, but I guess I should state the obvious. I'm glad you guys are watching because 11 years later, we're still doing it, and the guests keep getting better. Thanks for coming out and joining us, Michael. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It was a blast.
Stay right there. We'll be right back with more SRT Viper and the Viper GTSR racing at Mid-Ohio. Here I am in the Mid-Ohio infield for the ALMS GT weekend. and I'm wearing multiple shirts. I'm not just hosting a test drive, I'm also racing the Viper GTSR. But this is a great illustration with the cars side by side on some of the things that have carried over to the race car and vice versa. You'll notice everything on this car in terms of scoops and so forth is there for a reason, and it's obvious when you see it on the race car. The exhaust for the venting of the front hood, same thing here. The air intake, brake ducts on both, very, very similar. There's actually a functional brake duct on the B-pillar of the road car and the race car. That's a known high pressure area. You want to locate the ducts where the highest pressure to get the maximum airflow. That's where the rear brake duct is. Things like the roof bubble, little extra headroom for clearance, something I certainly appreciate. Side exhaust. Not only does it sound cool, the shorter exhaust length, a little bit less weight. The styling's just a little bit more of everything on the race car, a sexy, sexy car. Ralph Gill said that the inspiration for the new Viper was actually Halle Berry. So there you have an overview where you can see exactly how similar the road car and the race car are.
While the car was getting prepped for today's race, we talked with the president and CEO of SRT, Ralph Gill.
So one of the reasons we're in this form of racing is, it's in our namesake, street and racing technology. And a lot of the technologies you see here, carbon fibers, Kevlars, lightweight magnesiums, are now in the street car. The entire body, virtually the entire body of the new Viper is made of carbon fiber and reinforced carbon fiber. Some areas we have hot formed aluminum. We've got some pretty exotic materials that come straight for our racing program. So it's very exciting to see that technology raining down to the consumer and making the car better for it. The minute we set out to create the race car, I put the exact same design team together with the racing team to work on what the race car would look like, would be like, because we realize it's an exercise of form follows function to the letter, right? So that's exactly what we did. All the changes were done for functional reasons, but then smoothed over with a design sense, so that the race car looks every bit as good, if not better, than the street car. It's one of the things we like about ALMS racing. It shadows basically the market. I mean, you got some of the best brands in the world in this series. We'd love to go head-to-head with them. And as our brand is evolving, we actually market against them now. We have a world-class vehicle to talk about, so I think being in this form of racing makes a lot of sense again. Years ago, we got written out of the rules a little bit. Our engine was simply too big. We had a great relationship with the ACO over the last 2.5 years, really talking about how we could bring the Viper back, and a lot of that had to do with taming its power, restricting it. We found an elegant way to restrict the car. It's very simple, just 2 restrictors in the intake track, and it's working. An interesting fact that the street car actually has more horsepower than the race car. It's 640 versus 458.
Stick around, we'll be right back with more SRT Viper and more Viper GTSR racing at Mid-Ohio. Welcome back to our test drive of the 2013 SRT Viper. We're at Mid-Ohio Raceway with the SRT Viper GTSR race car, where I'm wrapping up the final preparations for the race.
Well, here I am getting suited up for my first race back. It's been 15 years since I laced him up as a factory race car driver. So it's been a long wait, and Viper's been away for a while too. So there's a lot of excitement, anticipation, fair bit of nerves, but the right balance of that is exactly what drives us. We're gonna be competing against Porsche, BMW, Corvette, and Ferrari out there on the racetrack, and that's exactly who Viper has their sights set on in the marketplace as well. So it's time for Viper and TK to go back to racing. Well, it was wild at the start. I mean, everybody was bunched up. It was too wide. It took a long time to sort out. And I think Mid-Ohio actually suits this car pretty well right now relative. Elkhart would probably be a little bit more of a struggle for us. First time running on a full tank of fuel and sticker tires. I felt pretty good when the yellow came out as far as finishing my full stint. But strategy-wise, it's right there. The right thing to do is you got to top it up. And to go another full tank from there would have been iffy for me.
I know Tommy from back in the time. He was very famous in racing, and when I watched the American racing, he was one of the top runners there. And he's a great character and a good race car driver. So now we're teammates in this series, and it's good to have him in the team because he brings a lot of experience into the whole program, and dynamic youth, and experienced old people.
Well, it's nice to get this one out of the way, to get our first competitive laps in. And, our number one goal is to finish this race, get as many laps as we can. So far, so good. The day was a big success for SRT in the debut of the 2013 Viper GTSR. Both race cars finished the race, and we were able to crack the top 10. A great way to return to world-class sports car racing and debut the 2013 SRT Viper. Well, we've been to the racetrack. Let's go hop back in the GTS road car for a little bit. Stick around. When we return, Joshua Davis takes a spin around the streets of Los Angeles in the 2013 SRT Viper.
I've never seen a car that shows you the instantaneous horsepower.
Stay close. Welcome back to our test drive of the 2013 SRT Viper. We're in downtown Los Angeles, more specifically, the art district of downtown LA. 10 years ago, people would have questioned your sanity standing right here. That wall